But there's so many people out there that goes, you the way almost you talk about it, like it's easy. A lot of people go.
It was not easy. It was hard. It was.
People would say, I used to have that big. I used to have this and that, but now it was just too much of a rat race, and now I work at the 7-Eleven or something. So, some people that fall, they never get back up, and so you got off the canvas.
We all were there,
yes,
including you and I.
Well, yeah. Let me tell the story about Andy. So all this 2008 hits, and then so Andy wrote me into buying this house in Buckingham Estates, and so I put down this like $5,000 or $7,000 to get this house.
2005.
2005. Somehow, so we were supposed to get this house, and then because I would own it, but I would not close on it. We'd sell it or something.
Flip it.
So Andy's big ball, and that guy's got a big house and DJ equipment in his thing, and he's driving out. I remember, besides the $500 bill, he has one driver now, no wife, no girlfriend. He has 3 cars. He has a BMW, a Mercedes, and an F-150. That guy was big balling, right? Big Andy, am I right or wrong?
I was spending a lot of money. Yeah.
Tell me how much lease payments or whatever they were paying. What do you think you're paying?
Back then, that was where we were all making more money than we can actually spend. SL 500, 1,300 a month. Then the Mercedes 1,000 and the truck 750. So I had like more car payments than the house cost.
One guy, 3 cars.
Yeah, stupid.
So we fast forward, crashes. Again, I with this house that I was put money on, I was being sued, and because I was with this group that were trying to sue the builders. Long story, but everybody backed out except me, and then the guy was saying he wasn't gonna let me out of my lawsuit, and so anyway, fast forward, the next thing I see, Andy, he doesn't have a car, and I've got a beat up Volkswagen Bug that I've used biodiesel in, German. So I love Andy. He's a great guy. I loaded my car. I don't know, what, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? So anyway, Andy now is going from 3 cars, big balling, $500 watch, $500 belt, thousands of dollars in things. He's driving my bullshit Volkswagen Bug, and I don't know when I ultimately got it back, but one time he called me and he was at the Fairwinds parking lot in downtown. He goes, Mike, the car is broke. I don't know what's wrong with it. It won't start. I don't know what's wrong with it. So I think, I don't know, it's out of gas or something, or out of diesel. But anyway, so
shit show.
He hit the skids, right? So now, Andy, tell him what you're killing it. I mean, both these guys have, from my view, a very general thing. They hit the bottom, they came back up. Most people don't get back up. It's like a fighter. I'm not getting off the canvas. Yeah, I got my ass beat. These guys got up, and that's very impressive. And that's it's like,
what did Rocky Balboa say? It doesn't matter how many times you get hit.
How many times you get
how many times you get knocked down.
Right.
It only matters how many times you get back up.
Right.
It's true, man. And it's hard when you've been at the top, the apex, and you're running with the big dogs, and then you're just some fucking 39, 40-year-old dude waiting tables.
It's amazing.
Going home with $80 a night, sleeping on your dad's couch. It's fucking humiliating. We
would go to this bar, and it was downtown, and I remember we would sit up in the top, like the special seating, and that place was not known, but
VIP.
Yeah, they would buy like sushi, and I'd be like, "Why are you buying sushi at a fucking bar?" I mean,
that was John Morgan's place. He owned it with what's his name, Howie, the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, and then the Mark James, I think, over too. He's also an attorney, but so I was always impressed with these guys. Were balling, but they hit the skids and they come back up. Most people don't get off the canvas. They don't go, well, I used to do that, but now I've kind of mellowed out, and I realize yes. So again, that's what both these guys, 3 cars. They listen. I could go on and bore you with stories about the things that I've learned. And again, Corey, and then Andy obviously was in charge of the sales staff. Most of those guys are doing well, Rick and Joe. So it's amazing. These guys, you guys help, including myself, a lot of money, right?
Back in the days, what was it, in the 1999 we started the retail division you started, right? 1999. It was towards the last quarter or something. Is we were all young, we were hungry, we didn't have anything. I'm not calling now Corey into it. I'm talking about myself, maybe a Rick, and Joe came a little bit later. But
Yeah, all three of you guys weren't making much money before you came to work for me.
Because Rick was a
painter.
He bought it one of your
Painting
houses or
business,
something.
He had a
painting
painting
business.
business.
Yeah.
so he was flipping properties, and he always came in with his beat up old Cherokee or something, the dog pound.
A dog.
It stunk
We call it a
like
dog pound.
the dog pound.
Joe used to say it smelled like a wet sock.
Yeah, it was
And
awful.
the window leaked on the right side, so the car. Anytime it rained, the car got soaked inside, and it smelled like mildew and ass all the time.
It was awful. But we were hungry, you know. And back then, I came from Germany in '96. I did very well for 3 years in the short-term rental market. And then that ended up somewhere nowhere, and I was confronted with a separation of my back then. Was I married there? I can't.
You were
I think I was married. Yes,
That was a pretty good.
and I had not a pot to piss in, you know, and I didn't even know what car I was driving. So
Yeah, you were stuck in friend zone, and she was like putting you
Yeah.
off, and there was a guy she was hanging out with.
it was
and,
a shitty situation. So
and she kept telling you, "Oh, he's just a friend." And then
Oh, yeah,
I remember
yeah.
you were sitting out in your Toyota Camry in front of her house, and you called me. He was like, "This guy is going into her house. I can't believe this shit."
yeah,
Memories.
few things happened, but we're going off the path here. Where we
It's all
actually wanna
part of
go.
it. It's all part of the story. It's brutal. You're broke. Your wife's fucking some other dude.
Yeah, nothing. And then I don't know where I was. I was moving into your house, right?
Yeah.
Somehow
kicked
we
you
got
out.
to start talking about the business and say, "Why don't you come work here with me?" And I wanted nothing to do with the mortgage business. I remember that. I was doing real estate only. I got my license in the mortgage business, and really didn't want to do it, but I was a good salesperson. I started it, and it's like, okay, let's try this out and see, because I only wanted to do real estate. He said, no, you need to try the other one. And then very quickly that became I was the best at it. And because it's not so much how you know the product, is how you put it together for the client at this time. You
You
know,
made more money on the loans anyway.
yeah, and you remember you became a client, and you only worked with me,
Yeah,
and everybody else wanted Mike,
Right,
but not fucking Andy. I only work with Andy and
Right.
with Rhonda and all of that.
Yeah, right, that's right.
But it went really quickly once you find something you really enjoy, you really like, you become good at it because you really want to do it. And I always wanted to be the best at it. And I got the most education. I looked at the most rate sheets. I met the most account executives from the different lenders, see what products we have to be more competitive with everybody else. And for years, we were like untouchable, you know. And then you grow from 1 to 3 to 5. You had to, give me 3-4 months of money, in which I then paid back through a draw. And then at some point in time, I moved, whatever, got my own apartment.
Yeah, I don't think you actually paid it all back because
Maybe
you always
not.
used to bitch like, I worked so hard.
Non-refundable.
Finally, I got sick of his fucking bullshit. I think you owed me about 10 grand still. And I was like,
Could be.
I got so sick of him bitching about that. I was just like, fuck it, you don't have to pay me back. And he was like, oh.
Yeah,
got all
but we
excited.
grew it. We grew it.
Sure.
The point that what I'm trying to say is, once you put your head to something, and we're in America, the greatest country in the world, can't even compete with Germany, right? Is everybody has a shot. It's just how much ambition and how bad do you want it.
So I don't want to steal Corey's thunder, but tell me about losing the 3 cars in that house.
All
You
right.
must have felt like a piece of
Yeah,
shit
tell
back
your
then.
story about how you crashed and burned out.
Yeah,
Because
God.
I had moved down to Delray and was staying with my dad. And then
You were before me. I came last.
Yeah.
I remember when
I crashed and burned first.
I remember
And they were all fucking laughing at me.
driving to your.
Because it made them feel better. It's like, hey, no matter how
Yeah.
bad you got, there's always somebody that's
Right.
doing worse. And it's like Corey was the apex predator, and now he's a little fucking guppy in the pond that's dried up.
So I pulled into Corey's apartment in College Park off what, Smith Street, or was it Princeton?
Oh, when I was living with Dave?
No. You're by yourself.
Or are you talking about back
We're
in the
talking
day?
about back in the day before I
okay.
already kicked
before-
the bucket.
Oh, I'm
you know?
talking about the second time that you crashed and after the real estate market.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
That's
about
exactly what I'm saying. So I pulled in. You were living in a small place typing this first book when I had problems with Joanne back then. That's a while ago. So I pulled up with my SL still.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, you were distraught over that girl.
Yeah, he has a small little 500 square foot, which like not his
okay.
style.
I remember that place. I know what you're talking about.
Like a little shit box, second floor. It's like, what the fuck?
That was like
but
2008.
I was mentally
2007.
Yeah, something like that. Distraught. Business still. I had my own mortgage company. I think I had a real estate company too. So, but my main business was mortgages. So get advice, and they need their shoulder to cry on, and this and that. And got my advice, worked temporarily, then it didn't. So that was a year, 2 years later. Then the mortgage market.
She had friend zoned you or blown you off or something, and you wanted to get her back, and so obviously you got her back, and then you didn't stay with her.
Yeah, no.
But at the end of the day, you always got 100% of those girls back.
Right. But I'm not here to talk about the girls. I'm talking about the business part, right? So when the mortgage crisis happened, and a lot of in our industry closed their doors, went bankrupt, whichever way you go. I was one of them. We had closings going. I think one of your loans was barely going through. Remember that? I think you were my last fucking cash out or something. It's like I was counting on that money as well. It's like, bitch, that better close, And it did close, but it was a little shaky.
Sure.
And then afterwards, it all came to a quick halt and stop. So only had limited funds available because I was still living a high roller life. Basically, I had to close. I went bankrupt. That was in 2008. And I think it got discharged in 2009.
Because your now wife, she had gone bankrupt a few months for you.
A year later.
I remember you calling me. You're like, well, Rich is bankrupt.
It became a sport. Like, it's no big deal. Everybody's bankrupt.
It was like rolling bankrupt.
Hey, my attorney advised me, write it off. You can't pay $1 million in debt. What are you going to do? On a payment plan, $100 a month? Till I'm 2,000 years old. So that's basically what happened. And I flew back then. My wife, now wife, back then my girlfriend, flew back to New York. Took a position there in a I don't know. What's that called? Dental hygienist office or something. And
she was a recruiter, right?
She was a recruiter,
making like six figures.
Oh yeah, absolutely, all 6-figure income.
Now she's working
I had nothing to pay. I had no apartment, no house. Had to move out of my house, basically because it was into foreclosure, and I didn't want to sit there until somebody carried me out, right? So I moved to her, got a position actually offered as a medical hair restoration salesperson.
I remember that. Okay.
With back then it's called medical hair restoration. So 6-figure job, Manhattan, Park Avenue, great office, bonus, all of that. So my first day of employment, I got called back to Orlando from New York. Hey, things have changed. We have a chat. So Bosley, obviously, which is the biggest hair transplant, I guess, company we have in this country or in this world, bought medical hair restoration and dropped my salary by like 2/3. So that would have been around $50,000 in New York, right? And in New York, we're going to do with 50 grand. I had to go take the train from Westchester County into the city, an hour into the city, an hour back, and then what would have I gotten net? $30,000 a year. So I say it's not going to work out for me. So was very depressed for a few weeks, didn't know what to do, had barely any money. And then this phone call came from one of my old clients who have financed condos, investment condos, like you did back in Bellaterra.
Sure, yeah.
They say, hey, the market's in the shitter. Condos are 27, 30, 40,000. I got some cash. Let's go. I want to buy some. Can you help me? So I said, all right, I'll be right down there. So scratched the last few $100s, flew down to Orlando, moved into a good friend's house in. He said, come on over. You can stay at my house till you get back on your feet. I didn't have a car, so I called you. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how the fuck that happened, but I called around because he didn't have a car either, a second car. And, I had no money, it was bankrupt, no credit, nothing. So you gave me that Beetle, and that's how I started. So I sold the first condo, sweat my ass off, no AC or whatever. It wasn't really working very well. And $27,000 condo. I remember I got like $540 in commission. That was the gross commission. I still had to get my cut. I was licensed with Rick and Joe back then. Premier Properties back then. And then that guy bought another one, and then his cousin, and then his attorney, and then his so-and-so. So that first
back
year...
in the day, we would 27,000 condo, we wouldn't even have gotten out of bed for that.
It was, but back then was money. And I wanted to get out of this hole. I want to be on my own. I felt like I was 12 years old. It's like,
Sure.
I can't go back to Germany. I'm 40 years old. I don't know how old I was there. 39, 40. Tell my parents after I made all this money, had all these houses and cars and girls and watches and belts.
Volkswagen.
I didn't make it, Dad and Mom and my friends. No way. I would have never let that happen. So, yes, the right moment, the right time, maybe got a little lucky, but because I kept my relationships with my clients always tip top, never screwed anybody over. Yes, we were making a lot of money front and back and points and here and there, but we always treated the clients honest and fair, including yourself. Nobody got ever whacked or screwed over that something backfired. So that paid off. They remember, and that Mr. Actually, his name was Hussein Taki, Mr. Taki. I say he, I don't know, financed 4, 5, 6 deals with me. He was the reason I actually started again in the real estate. So from I think the first year, how was it? I don't know. Within 8 months, I had like 65 transactions. Small shit, 30, 50, 60,000, but it's volume that gets you back out of it. And from there on, you build up. And then it started, well, I have these condos now. I need to find a tenant. Can you find me help a tenant?
Sure.
For a tenant. So I started opening up a management company. So that was in 2010. Now it's 2021. We do 8-9 million in sales probably, and we have about 160, 180 properties right now. But we always sell something off, and then we get something on. So right now we are in the process of working to bring the management up to a higher level to 300-400 units. But real estate sales right now are taking over priority because the demand is so strong.
Sure.
Yeah, in every level.
And so those guys that bought those condos for $27,000 could now sell them for what, 200?
That's exactly what's going on today. In today's market, in 2020, since COVID hit, I think since January this year in 2021, a lot of the high volume buyers who bought over the last 10, 12 years at a very deflated price are tripled or have tripled their price or their value. So they're selling off their small stuff, their 1 and 2 bedrooms, whatever they bought for 30 grand, they're getting 110, 120,000 for it, same product. So whatever rented back then, the $40,000 condo for $650 is now $1,100. So everything raised, not just real estate values. So it's the rental market. It's pretty strong. So they're reselling and now they're reinvesting in new construction or whatever they can get their hands on, because new construction at the moment is it's all-time low.
Right.
And you have to pay top dollar, but they're still reinvesting their money because they've done so well and they don't trust the stock market. As long as they make their 5-6% net return on their investment without calculating the appreciation, they're still reinvesting. Yeah. So it's a constant. It doesn't matter to me. Market's low, the investor's buying. Market is high, investor still is buying because they sell off and reinvest. 1031 exchange, tax deferment, whatever you can call it. If you are in the market to sell your real estate, your property, your investment property this year, please reach out to me. I will guide you properly, since we've been breaking records in multiple different areas in Central Florida, and my company has been successfully setting new standards in highest and best sales volume.
And it's a great thing that in terms of, me being in sales, you have all these people and they go, Andy, this guy Andy. So that's you get a lot of referrals, right?
I have literally zero advertisement.
That's beautiful.
And that's where I'm slagging. And I want to, and that's going to be our next chat here over dinner with him or tomorrow, how to grow the business on the social aspect, right? Sure. Because I don't have to. I don't have
Better
the
write
problem.
a big check.
I'm
not
just went to the
cheap.
bathroom. I got 2 texts from people from Dubai and from Tanzania that want to buy investment properties in this market. You would think, you stupid? But no, with Florida, Florida is still not even close to where California, Texas, New York is, and everybody's moving to Florida. Politically, COVID, whatever you want to call it, great governor.
The free state of Florida.
Yeah, pretty much. So you can do things here you can't do somewhere else. And people miss their freedom, and they're ready to invest.
So now you got a big house and a nice new car, right?
I don't want to call it big house. I have a nice house.
It's beautiful.
You
guys did a great job on it.
Thank you. In a right school district, because now it's not what I want. It's what's going for the kids, and reinvesting not in watches and cars.
But so what kind of car are we driving? Because I
used to drive BMWs all the time, but
right.
not the 7 Series and the X5s anymore. I had a 5 Series, but Wife drives an X5 because the dog. We have a dog.
Sure.
We have a Doberman, and I just got a Range Rover simply because there's no inventory in cars. Same as in real estate.
So then I'm gonna pay both of you a great compliment. Corey's big balling. He's big balling. That
Sure.
guy's big balling. This guy, and this is how
I'm small time.
they've come out from the ashes. The Phoenix got off the mat. We count to 7, 1, 8. He gets up. He's ready to fight again. That guy just told me on the way up he's going to buy a $5,000 dog from Russia.
Russia.
That's crazy. I'm going to buy a $35 dog from the pound.
But I can't help the price, the import price.
No, but again, you guys believe in yourself, and that's inspiring because Corey, Anthony Robbins, he believes in himself, and so to buy all this equipment, he believes in himself. That's inspiring. And again, going back to what I've always said, you are who you hang around with. That's why I always wanted to hang around because we'd go to these places and be like, wow, he's bought $150 worth of sushi there. So again,
But don't judge it
was
too
good
much.
sushi. It was good
Well,
sushi.
You had your own roll, Corey
Yes,
roll,
The
turtle
Corey
roll.
the Corey special, they called it.
It was good though.
but anyway, so that
It was awesome.
That's that's
What I appreciate.
that's
Thank
my
you.
take
Very
on these guys.
Humbling.
That it's awesome to watch these guys, and
Well, we have to thank John Morgan for that because that was his club. He had
Right.
the sushi there, or Howie.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
What Mark Nijay
Mark
was the other one?
Mark E. James.
All those guys.
Yeah, all
that
those
was
guys.
that was a lot of fun back in the day.
When
When we used to walk in, what was cool is when we go in there, like the head DJ or
didn't
whatever,
they have a VIP card
we would
or
have
something?
we had a VIP table upstairs, and the dude would get on the stage, and then he would call out. He's like, so you tell everybody that we're in the house. That was cool. There's like 5,000 people in there or whatever. And they're announcing, who's hanging out upstairs in the VIP area. There'd be celebrities up there, movers and shakers, as you said.
When I see
That was
John
a lot
Morgan,
of fun.
I'm gonna say, John, we talked to you about Corey's podcast. And he's gonna go, you mean that kid? That kid? I'm gonna say, yeah, that kid. We've talked about you. So anyway, yeah, no, I feel very lucky to orbit both you and Mr. Morgan. And,
We are
so, yeah.
big part of this.
Yeah.
This
Well,
ride we had the last 20 years.
It's all good. And I was just again, I don't know how I got so lucky to hang a little bit, but it was inspiring. And again, believe it or not, I would tell anybody, and even if the cameras weren't rolling, I learned a lot from you guys, and it was interesting to watch you guys.
Man. I learned a lot from you, bro.
It's all good, man.
You're in the same place.
I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky.